There were other files on how 25 years of scheming kept the police commissioner in office despite his neo-Nazi buddies. When I saw all that, I said enough. A lengthy pause. He stares vacantly into space. I don't know how they'd let all that get into my hands, to tell you the truth. There were whole boxes of testimonies and reports. There's a slight change of tone in his voice, lower and more confident. Somebody had to do something. His confidence suddenly vanishes. He snaps. Fuck, man. Fucking shit. I've lost everything. I really blew it. His voice trails off. His phone is starting to vibrate again. Maybe they're worried. He holds up a hand. Thank you, but I need to be left alone. You nod and continue onto Bois de Vincennes. The ride continues in silence. Your passenger ignores his cell phone. It keeps on vibrating over and over again. Every so often you steal a glance at him in the rearview mirror. Your passenger can't be more than 35, but he already seems a lot older. Especially his voice. It's broken, vulnerable from a fall. Continue watching him. You notice his scalp. His hair has white roots, and his eyes dark circles. Are you trying to remember my face? So you'll be able to recognize me on TV? No, You are a little taken aback, but the tone of his voice isn't malicious, only a little bitter perhaps. They say TV distorts faces, that it softens the lines, that noses look thinner. I don't know if it's true. We'll find out when they drag me through the mud. The phone vibrates again. He looks down at the screen and shrugs. Ask for help with the investigation. Can I ask you something? He looks up. You can see the apprehension in his eyes, the fear too. Yes? I'm investigating the judge. The man leans a little closer to you. Why are you doing that? His November victim was one of my clients. You pause, and almost imperceptible change comes over your passenger's face. I heard about a witness. It's you? You nod. If I could see the files you're talking about, you're trying to catch him by yourself? Lie. If I must, yeah. Faint smile plays across your passenger's face. It's crazy. To be that brave, to go after that guy. He lowers his eyes. A slight change comes over his voice. It seems softer, slightly childlike. Were you afraid? What do you mean? When he attacked you, were you afraid? A picture of the side of the street flashes through your mind. The rain, the smell of gunpowder. And that stupid question, where did all that blood come from? Not at the time. It all happened too fast. He nods. Your passenger is biting the inside of his cheek. Well, okay. I'll help you. Not a word to the police. It'll be better for both of us. Thank you. Wait until we see what we uncover. You give him your suspect list. He carefully notes their names. You notice his fingers shaking. I can't promise you anything, but I'll take a look. How can I get the information to you if you come up with something? Leave anything you find for me at the fleet garage. Can we trust them? You nod. Yes, entirely. A pause. He's staring at you. Take my word for it. Fine. You're getting close to Bois de Vincennes now. Where should I drop you? There's a cafe on the boulevard, near the park entrance. Near the chateau. You nod. I know it. I want to see the sun come up. You glance at the time on your clock and a smile flickers across your face. The castle is so big and so empty. Can you imagine everything that could be put in there, hidden in there? He moves his head from side to side as if keeping time with the thoughts going around his head like a song. You pull up outside the cafe in question. The passenger hands you his fare. Keep the change. And don't forget my face, please. Keep it etched in your memory. An uneasy pause. I'm afraid of forgetting it myself. Your eyes follow him until he enters the cafe. He sits down, orders something, then picks up the newspaper on the table next to him. A few seconds later, he seems to be just another ordinary guy. He could be anyone, a simple bystander. You drive away. Hey, Aiko Dimitrov, welcome back. Hope you had a good meal. Do you have more clues? Yeah. Yes, I do. I do, but it's still not clear. Still isn't clear what the hell is going on. Okay. Let's read the newspaper. You pull up a newspaper out of your glove compartment. It's a long interview with one of the whistleblowers that started the infamous police leaks scandal everyone is talking about. The photo is not very flattering, but you recognize your passenger. You turn the page and stop. You read about a third of the newspaper. Keep reading. You stop reading and go back a few pages. You thought you saw something. Rather enthusiastic. That was the NAPO. Stop reading. Looks like it's the same information. Okay, let's get back to driving. Okay, where can we bring you? Your next passenger is alone and waiting for you on the sidewalk. She gets in the cab and whispers, "Hello." She has no handbag or suitcase, just a small handmade sign with an Indian name printed on it. "Charles de Gaulle, please." She is young, with a soft and slight accent. Her face shows no emotion. Her fingers play with the small gold chain around her neck. It is the only piece of jewelry she has on. You drive, glancing back at her from time to time. Her head seems to be elsewhere. "Everything all right, miss?" She nods her head gently, cracking a tiny smile. It's really early. The first planes to come are the worst. Everyone is exhausted and half asleep. Yes, exactly. And she sighs. I must confess, I don't really want to go there. A tiny smile lights her face up for a split second before disappearing. Ah, family? My future husband. Well, future, I've never even met him. Her accent suddenly becomes stronger. Aiko Dimitrov says, I tried to plant a bean in a pot and it grew. Hey, congratulations! Gonna get a nice beanstalk, hopefully. Keep taking care of it. You know this habit well. Just before confiding in you, passengers tend to relax into their natural accent. I'm sure he's a great guy, as they say here. Sadness appears in her voice. But I don't know him at all. My parents chose him. It's crazy, isn't it? Are you shocked? Yes. A sad smile washes briefly over her face. It's tradition. Or at least it used to be. My parents are a little bit old school, even by current standards in India. I chose to study here and not in England like my sisters. She flashes a smile. I fell in love with Paris and decided to stay. I almost never go home. Actually, this is home now. Anyway, my parents insist I meet him. He decided to make the trip, saying he had a meeting as a pretext. Say nothing. It's understandable from their perspective, I mean. It worked for them, right? Sense something bubbling up, anger, before she freezes. Some people refuse to let their emotions out. She slowly regains control of her body. What day trips would you recommend outside Paris? Nearby? She nods. Versailles, of course. It's really beautiful, definitely worth it. Her face lights up. Oh yes, perfect. I'm sure he'll like that. Or there's Fontainebleau. There's a huge park, very wild, if he likes hiking. I don't really know. He smiles shyly. You prefer to say nothing. The airport is not much further. Something about the young woman makes you feel uncomfortable. She looks as if she's about to scream but is holding it in. Time passes and silence fills the cab. Which terminal? Her question startles her. Terminal C, 2C, I think. Is it an Indian airline? Indeed. That is definitely 2C. The flights come in very early. Yes, very early. Thank you. You park the car in front of Terminal 2C. The passenger grabs her sign and exits the cab. She pauses for a second, as if she were about to say something. Then she disappears. Oh, man. Okay, let's go get her. What? The words? I can sense them? They're calling me? What? Your next passenger immediately raises her hand. Drive. I don't care where, I just need you to drive. Start driving. You turn the key in the ignition. Yes, there. Good. Keep going this way. Her deep, full voice makes you slightly uncomfortable. With closed eyes, she seems like she's in a place far from the back seat of your taxi. When she starts speaking, there's an odd whistle in her voice, like she has a hole in one of her teeth. Slow down. Frail or fragile? But surprised, you look back at her in the mirror. Answer me, frail or fragile? I'm not sure. Don't think about it, just say the first one that comes to mind. Frail or fragile? Fragile. Ah, odd. I wouldn't have thought that of you. After all, frailty applies more to humans than to objects. The whistle in her voice crackles for a second. Both words actually have the same root. A smile spreads across her face. 2 words, 2 units. And life went on, and words mixed once again. She pauses. You okay? Doesn't hear your question because she starts to scream. Go down the street and stop. You speed up in the quiet street. The cold weather has driven away all the passerby. There, yes, good. I've got it. She cries out with joy and it resonates in the cab. I've got it. Look, the words are right there. They're wandering past us like sheep. Like... She explodes with laughter. What words? She immediately stops laughing. She silences you with a wave of her hand. Now, I must write. She closes her eyes. Her fingers stroke imaginary upholstery. The frail are forced into battle. Together come the children, a son and a daughter standing tall to salute. They will cry. Oh yes, they will cry. The eaglets fly behind. The frail will say. Your passenger freezes. When she opens her eyes again, she stares at you. What happens when you sleep? She's waiting for your answer. I have nightmares. She tilts her head to the side just a bit. No, that's a lie, and you know it. And what happens when you drive? I make a living. Exactly. You give your time to others. She laughs strangely, almost a snicker, as her eyelids droop. And the son will say, "Frail father, I want you to come back to life." And the daughter will say, "Frail father, I want you to come back a winner." The whistle in her voice grates on your ears. And the father responds, "You must choose." As the eaglet lands upon his shoulder, together they fly off, and thus all began. Fragile, frail, two pets that can't be fooled. The son and daughter will grow up, though not at the same pace. When early one morning, 20 years later, they wake up, they wake to the sound of a bugle. The sound will be beaten, churned, and clobbered, until he wakes from a 1,000-year nightmare. A nightmare that needed together earth and life, and brought into the world a dream for the daughter and the son. May they learn to live again without their father. Frail and fragile. Frail is fragile. She catches her breath. 11 years. I've been writing this poem for 11 years. Good job. You get the impression she didn't even hear you. For 11 years, I've been trying to finish the text. It's filled with so much. It's infused with my entire life. Its lungs are swollen with my tears. Her breathing is now quite irregular. And it was all waiting right here, in the street, right in front of me. She giggles. Thank you. She sighs and places a few bills in front of you, far more than the fare. Stop here and... You pull the cab over. Keep everything. I have nothing more. She gets out of the taxi without a peep. Wait! He walks away without responding to your call. It seems to you that it's only an impression, but it looks like she's getting smaller and smaller with each step. Darkness swallows her and you sit there, a bit shaken by her poem. Pick up the money, something falls at your feet. You grab onto a small shiny white seashell with your fingers. You look at it for a second without saying a word. 11 years. The idea makes its way into your brain. You take a minute and drive off. Ooh, that was interesting. And we're out of time. Open your front door and your foot hits something. An envelope. Someone slid it under the door. Busette? Open it straight away. It's a police file. You lay it on the table. Must be from your passenger, the whistleblower. You smiled. He kept his word. You take a few minutes to update your board with your new clues. A bus goes by, making the walls shake. You sigh and get to work. Okay, police report Julian's files. What does... Ooh, 5 clues. Homeless man seen around crime scene 2 and 3. Wait. Need to organize this somehow better. Okay, so this guy has a gun. An old gun that matches the profile. Hmm. Okay, that guy's first case was a child molester. Oh, this for some reason goes for both. First 3 victim files, not part of police leak. Okay, so he matches the weapons profile. And it looks like both of those guys have a weapon? That was a cop. Okay, this is a homeless man with an unknown background. Briefly worked with victim 2 in the 90s. Got health issues after Richthofen health scandal. Couple of arrests for breaking and entering. Well-known lawyer, defender of the Duar case, defender of several molested kids in poor neighborhoods, was a promising football player. Cop in Paris. Dad was a cop. Mom got health issues after Richthofen health scandal. Wait. He got also health issues. Okay. Retired cop. Divorced from a judge. This medical examiner. Escaped from Argentina when she was young. Lost her parents to the Argentinian junta. Okay. She doesn't seem like somebody who would have a gun. I wonder if I can already start eliminating people. I don't think I can yet. Okay, let's see what... Again, I can't read this file? Come on. This is a file about Bugrain. And that is one for Florentin. Sucks I don't have enough time. Hopefully next night, finally. Okay. First 3 victim files not part of police leak. What information didn't the guy give me? The whistleblower was... he's probably marked as a customer. Okay. Okay, let's start a new day. The phone rings and you jump. You're not used to hearing it. No one ever calls you. It must be Busette. Pick up. You pick up. Busette sounds irritated. You there? Yeah. Listen, it's... She pauses. You suddenly hear a ruckus in the background. Probably noise at the station. Busette raises her voice. Anyone got the time? Hey, guys, anyone? Fuck, they're all neon dirtles here. Listen, it's early and I'm wiped out. So are you, I bet. Let's get straight to the point. What do you have for me? In a calm and methodical voice, you start giving her the evidence you collected. You start with the first suspect, their connection to the victims, the rumors, and the second suspect, and so on. A few minutes in, she lets out a whistle. Not bad at all. Seriously, you should come give a lesson to the zombies I work with. A long sigh. I have some good news for you. We checked the alibi of one of the suspects I gave you. As you listen to her, you turn to the board and pull down the suspect she's referring to. So, it's gotta be someone else. She snickers. You know how lucky you are? I'm doing your job for you, pal. Okay, enough chit-chat. I gotta run. I'll call you in 2-3 days, okay? Okay. I'll call you in 3 days and you'd better have what I need to make a proper arrest. The DA has fangs. We're pretty sure he's going to turn into a werewolf at some point. She babbles on for a while. Her voice becomes softer, but just as sarcastic. That would explain his terrible breath. Okay, I'm out. She hangs up. You hold the handset to your ear for a while. You have just one thing in mind, sleeping, and forgetting it all. Ah, but that guy's gone, okay. You open one eye. You find your studio calming. There's something special about living in a garret. Like yours is the last place before the sky starts. You get up quickly, and a few minutes later you're outside of your studio. Okay. Let's start with a passenger. Two women getting in the cab give you their address. They say nothing as you start the car. A faint scent of alcohol hangs in the air. They've been drinking. After a moment's silence, the younger of the two breaks the silence. So, what do you think? About him? Who else? Of course him, not the bar. Well, I'm not sure. A strange sound escapes her. She sighs. He seems pretty, dumb. Dumb? How so? You know, dumb as a doornail, all but staring at himself in the mirror over the bar when he went to get drinks. But does that matter? No, not really. He's got a good body, good looking, lots of energy. He's got a sort of animal vibe, like a little like a panther. I really like that style. You really like that style? The passengers exchange a look. The older of the two gives her friend a smile. You know exactly what I mean. They reach for each other's hand in the back seat of the car. The gesture is full of tenderness. Moment's silence. The older woman clears her throat. What about you? What did you think of him? The young woman gives herself a minute to think. I don't know. He was heavy, too sure of himself, and he spends too much time at the gym. Did you get that bit about? Oh, yeah, please. That innuendo about sexual performance. Short mocking laugh escapes her. He was pretty heavy-handed with all his expertise on yoga and orgasms. True though, strong pelvic floor muscles can't hurt. Well, anyhow, he was all preachy. You should write a book, the perfect gift for your ex-husband. They burst out laughing. When the laughter dies down, the younger of the two resumes talking in a more serious tone. Anyhow, like I was saying, she looks at her friend intently. Is it really that important? I mean, we're looking for a donor. Not a father, not a lover, not a guardian or a godfather. Nothing but a donor. Yeah, just a donor. She casts a glance in your direction, conscious all of a sudden they aren't alone in the cab. She goes on, lowering her voice. Yes, but still. If he had been a date, I think I would have been out of there in 5 minutes flat. I do yoga. I meditate 6 hours a day. I went to Tibet to learn the ancient art of serfdom did exist in Tibet before the 1950s. I checked on Wikipedia. I thought Buddhists were supposed to be curious and open-minded. He was like some old conservative dude in the body of a young Brad Pitt. Pause again. But like you were saying, Does all that really matter? Her friend nods. The two young women are lost in their respective thoughts. You know, I'm not against that kind of stuff or anything. It's up to him if he wants to be a drag with all that yoga and meditation bullshit. I don't have a problem with that. Gives her girlfriend a reassuring look. Anyhow, there's no way any of that is going to be passed on to our daughter. Or our son. Her friend flashes her a big smile. But it's going to be a girl. I can feel it. And yoga? It's not genetic. We'll have to ask Dr. Weidel. Yes, I bet he'd really love that. He'll think we're messing with him. He said we could ask him anything. He's going to take us for a couple of idiots. Besides, it's impossible. Pompousness cannot be passed on to children. The younger woman doesn't seem convinced and makes an exaggerated pout. So you're saying, an ear for music, yes, that's passed on, but pretentiousness isn't? Exactly. So if you don't want to believe me, he leans towards you all of a sudden. Sorry to bother you, but did you hear what we were just talking about? Yes, I did. No need to feel embarrassed or anything. We were talking out loud after all. Her friend lets out a sigh. Come on, leave him alone. I was just asking. Alright, so my wife and I are meeting potential donors in order to conceive a baby. Her partner rolls her eyes. And we were wondering if you thought pretentiousness could be passed on to children. Genetically. You give her a look in the rearview mirror and take a moment to answer. The question is so utterly absurd. Leave him alone, Emily. He's a taxi driver, not a geneticist. Don't get all worked up about it. I'm just asking his opinion. Should I say yes or no? Let's say it can't be. Passenger flops back onto the car seat. So the answer is no, is it? You're no fun. Seriously, we should have taken another cab, driven by a genetics expert. She bursts out laughing. The younger passenger leans forward towards you. Sorry. My partner doesn't mean anything by all that. We've had a bit to drink and it's the first time for us tonight. We're meeting donors. You pull up to the client's address and cut the engine. Be understanding. No problem. Passenger seems relieved. I'm a cab driver. I'm used to all kinds of funny stuff. I can imagine. Have you been driving a cab for long? You avoid her eye. Yeah, you could say that. The passenger pays for the ride. He lets out a sudden guffaw and can't help adding. Anyhow, thanks for answering. Come on, Emily, that's enough. As her friend tugs at her arm, Emily starts to mumble to herself. I definitely think we should ask the doctor, just in case. We need a second opinion. You wait until the two women have entered the building and then start the car. That was funny. Let's listen to the radio. Your fingers poised and It should be about time for top news tonight. One of those call-in shows. Listen to a talk show. At night you often happen upon the same show. A woman calling herself Lady Monique takes calls from all over France. People tell her about their problems and trivialities of their lives, and Lady Monique listens and gives them advice. You like the show because the callers remind you of yourself, worn out, exhausted, at the end of their rope. But especially because Lady Monique is also trying to figure out who the killer is. You tune into the show in the middle. Happens every time. Lady Monique lists everyone who contributed to the show, the people behind the window of the recording studio, all the little helpers, the ones who work in the shadows. You. Conversation quickly goes in circles. Turn off the radio and find yourself alone in the silence of your cab. Aiko Dimitrov asks if I have new clues. The biggest thing that we got is we eliminated one person because the police said he had an alibi. So one suspect is down, so we have 4 people left. Okay, let's drive this woman. Something tickles your nose, a burnt smell. That burnt smell again. Past the rearview mirror, the radio starts to break up. Oh, it's this again that we restarted. I still don't understand what was up with this. The same conversation, I believe. Oh no, this is different. They've gathered heaps of screens, keyboards, lamps to burn them. The fires last for days. The sky. Some days the sky is filled with toxic soot, black ash. She shrugs. I'm lucky, I guess. I can remember what it was like before. The children, though. I feel most sorry for them. They're so lifeless, sad. She looks at you. You looked surprised, but... The image of her flicker shakes. She raised her head to speak to someone outside the cab. What? They're getting closer? I don't know if I can stay much longer. I have to tell you one more thing. A few days ago, we got our hands on some newspapers from your time. Aiko Dimitrov asks, is this hologram? Yeah, it's sort of weird. Like, this hologram appears. Everything we read seemed trivial, and it felt so good. We laughed about it, even though deep down, I miss those debates, stories, the editorials. She lowers her voice, especially the horoscopes. She doesn't say anything for a few seconds. You wanted to tell me something? Tell you something. Her face lights up. Yes! While we were reading through newspapers, we found some crucial information related to your investigation. She closes her eyes. Now don't try to... I can't tell you much, but I need you to write down what I'm about to say. She disappears. A few seconds go by and she doesn't come back. Are you there? No answer. Silence reigns in the cab, terrifying silence. Only now do you notice a strange smell floating in your taxi. A hospital smell. Pull over. You park as soon as you find a tree spot. You attempt to get a hold of yourself. The radio starts to crackle despite the interference. You make out the young woman's voice. I'm sorry. I can't come back. You hear someone scream in the background. They're taking our antennae apart. Shit. Watch the files, not those. Raz, the other ones. Her voice sounds far away for a minute, then closer again. We had enough time to send you something. I don't know if it could be of any help, but it's under the seat. Under the seat? Her voice suddenly stops. The radio starts playing like usual again. You turn your eyes to the passenger seat. How could she possibly have put something under the seat? Plus, you had the car washed. If you had... Look under the seat. You lean over towards the passenger seat. You feel around, and your fingers happen upon a file folder. You pull it out slowly. Scribble on front of thick pencil are the words "Thank you." J. You open it up, a newspaper clipping. The paper is yellowed, worn. At the top of the article, a date. The date is 2 years from now. You stop reading as you start reading the clipping. You inhale, you smile. This will help you. Now I'm curious what it is. I hate it we can only read it in our room. Okay. Let's meet this guy. Oh god, somebody too drunk to drive. But good on him. You pull up in front of the address the central office gave you, a creep joint, quite the popular one by the looks of the line spilling out the door onto the sidewalk.